What's going on, man?
Just another day in paradise over here.
It's not just another day because later on this week, bro, we have an MCU movie coming out.
That we do. Which one is it this time?
Junior's excited.
Junior's always excited.
So this Thursday, we will be watching and reviewing Thunderbolts Asterisk.
I love how you always put the asterisks in there.
Well, they always put it in there.
I mean, yeah.
And it's part of the title.
I just got a feeling that when they do press release and scrums for this movie, they don't say, yeah, I had a great time working on Thunderbolts Asterisk.
Well, I mean, I am a firm believer, sir, in that there's usually only one correct, right? Okay. So it's not illegal for them to be wrong.
Oh, wow.
But they still are.
Yeah, so I did actually hear that the asterisk does mean something, and that apparently we are going to find out.
Is this kind of like the Thor and Deadpool scene for you, where you just?
I need to know. I actually need this to come to
fruition. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It's all about your hopes and dreams. Fuck the rest of us. I understand.
I'm glad you're finally catching up here. Yeah. So where's your hype level for Thunderbolts right now, as of this recording?
Ooh. So let's say like my phase 1 hype level was at like a 7. And then let's say my like phase 2 and 3 hype level was at like a 9.
Okay.
With like obviously Infinity War and Endgame at like a 10.5.
Yeah.
Hype.
You're right.
And then let's just say that my average like phase 4 and 5 hype level is about a 3.
And that's out of 10 or out of 5?
Out of 10.
Okay.
Out of 10. I am at about a 5.5.
God.
So I'm very hopeful for this movie. I actually think that I don't know that it's going to be like a 10 out of 10 or anything like that. I don't need it to be. What I think is going to happen is I think it's going to look really good. I think it's going to be shot in a unique way. I think this director is going to do it in a way that it feels like an MCU movie, but isn't necessarily shot by like one. They have made no bones about the fact that a lot of A24 cast and crew are involved here,
which is interesting.
And they did a lot of practical effects for this movie. I'm really hoping that we're not going to see any like shoddy CGI. Haven't seen any in the trailers, but they never put it in the trailers.
That's true, yeah.
Except for like when it's like so horrible, and you're like, well, certainly they'll change that.
Yeah, they'll fix that.
and then they don't. She-Hulk.
Oh no! They gave us the great shots in the She-Hulk trailer.
They did. They really did.
And they were like, those were the good scenes we had of her.
Yeah, they're like, these were all the good models or whatever. It never helped, right, that they put her right next to like Banner's
I know
$1 billion movie model, that they already have.
Let's take the hope that we had in Endgame and put him here next to this high school
CW Hulk.
Yeah. Oh shit.
Yeah, man.
I think for me, I think Thunderbolts for me is gonna, in a weird way, feel like a Deadpool and Wolverine Jr. type situation. Or like for me, the hype I had for Deadpool and Wolverine was absolutely through the roof. I was obviously really much anticipating Deadpool and Wolverine, and for me, it delivered. However, Deadpool and Wolverine doesn't really do anything to progress and move the MCU forward, and I understand that being a lot of people's frustration with it. I think that Thunderbolts for me is going to be a similar situation. Like I'm interested to see the MCU Suicide Squad, and I'm also very interested to see their take on the Century. Do I think that this will, in some big way or fashion, lead us more into the greater story that we're building towards? I don't think so. I mean, if anything, the Century maybe, but I don't really see anyone else being like heavy hitter players moving forward, to progress the overall plot of where the MCU is now.
I think the asterisk is either Dark Avengers or New Avengers.
Yeah. Dark Avengers would be great.
I could totally see us ending up in a spot where Sam is putting a new team together. Mm-hmm. Maybe Sam and Bucky, you know. Yeah. And that just makes sense, especially since they are going to have no time to like train or get to work together. They're not going to get to go out on any like baby missions because Dr. Motherfucking Doom is coming real soon.
Real soon. I guess it's like, how many, without the respect to them, how many of them do you want to see in the Avengers? I mean, like, in the actual team, you know?
Bucky. Yelena.
Okay. We got our...
Like, oh, no, I was done.
Oh, okay.
I was done.
All right.
Well, and I mean, Sam, obviously, but he's not on this.
He's not on he's not in the Thunderbolts. Well, that'd be interesting then.
What do you think the odds are that Taskmaster bites it?
Taskmaster is the only one who isn't confirmed to be in Doomsday, right?
Yeah, and like they aren't really on any of the pressers or anything either.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, I'm thinking like, you know how in like the Suicide Squad movies, there's always like someone that gets killed like early.
Yes.
Yeah, I think.
Wow. I mean, look, if there's got to be somebody, either Taskmaster or Ghost, you know.
See, I actually think, I think that this movie is not going to do the Sentry justice, but I do think that they might actually like I'd say revitalize, but I mean, they might grow something from nothing with Ghost.
Yeah, that would be dope. I mean, the bar is so fucking low. She just have to do one or two cool things, and I'd be like, that was amazing for Ghost.
yeah. This is, or like, tell us anything about you at all.
Yeah, or give her, I don't know, a speaking line.
Yeah, anything.
Yeah, anything would be.
She's gonna go to talk, and Lawrence Fishburne is just gonna appear, like right here, and say the lines for her instead.
I'm trying to remember, because Lawrence Fishburne, he played Bill Foster, like the Giant Man.
Yeah.
Did he end up being the bad guy? I don't remember shit about that movie.
Yeah, man, and I definitely can't go back and watch it to have to tell you about it. I don't think he died, though.
I'm not sure, to be honest.
I don't know, man. We watched that movie so we could watch that ant play the drums.
That was pretty much it. Because that was the post-credit scene, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, seeing the ant play the drums.
In the apocalypse.
Yeah.
The Thanos-ocalypse.
Yeah, the Thanos-ocalypse. Gonna have fun spilling that in the clip.
Yeah. There's no way that the software is going to get that one.
Absolutely not. I can't wait to see what it makes of that. Anywho, homies, we are here for a reason here tonight, other than to discuss the hype or non-hype for Thunderbolts. We are here to discuss the latest season of Andor, particularly episodes 1, 2, and 3 for season 2.
That's right. This season, the second season here is actually going to be released in 4 blocks, 3 episodes each, and there's going to be a 1-year time gap between each block of episodes. The odd thing here actually is Disney wanted to give Tony Gilroy the time and money to make 5 seasons. They were like, "Yeah, man, if you want to, you can. You know, people really like the show." And after filming the first season and like how difficult it was, he was like, "Nah, I'm good."
Yeah.
He's like, "Why don't we just summarize?"
Would you have wanted 5 seasons of Andor?
I don't know that. So like, that is a complicated question. I think that obviously the pacing of season 1 is the barrier, right, for like why more people haven't watched this show, because I don't blame anyone, because it is so rare in this day and age for us that watching a slow burn actually is like pays off, right? Like The Wire.
Yeah.
Like, have you seen The Wire?
I tried.
Yeah. Nothing happens in like the first 8 fucking episodes of The Wire. Okay, like you get to listen to Stringer Bell talk. which is awesome, right? But like, not shit happens in that show for a long time. It's actually a good while before you really get what the fuck is going on in The Wire, because season 2 of The Wire, I had to make sure multiple times that I was watching the right shit, because season 2 of The Wire, there are no characters or anything in like the first 2 or maybe 3 episodes of season 3 of The Wire. It's like, or season 2 of The Wire. It's like the first season is this whole like, arc. And then all of a sudden you're here with these dock workers, right? And they have some shit going on, but it really doesn't have nothing to do with the police. It has nothing to do with the characters that you know. It doesn't have anything to do with like the gang or whatever. And you're like, am I watching the right shit?
Yeah.
Okay. Is this a spinoff? I don't know. And like, you just keep watching it, and what's happening is pretty interesting, but you're like, what the fuck does this have to do with this show? Like, is this an anthology series? Like, but it's not. It's just, they literally take a couple episodes and they put you in this completely different part of the city with a completely different set of circumstances, and then it very slowly bleeds in. So you're like 3-4 episodes, maybe 5, before you are like, okay, I see. But like, you really have to trust them.
Yeah.
And like, the juice is worth the squeeze on The Wire. So like, if you're wondering, I will say this: if you have watched The Shield, they're not related at all, but they are both police shows. It is, I think, way more difficult to get into The Wire because of like the way The Shield is. The Shield is just shot so frantically that it makes you feel like you're there as part of that very gritty action. And The Wire does not have a lot of that. The Wire is very like methodical and procedural, but like the themes of it and like what it's trying to say are amazing. So
yeah, the interesting thing about The Shield, when you talk about the way that it's shot, it's not a found footage type show or anything like that. But man, they put you in there and it feels almost like it at times.
Yeah. They shot it with like literally Sony hand cams from Best Buy. Yeah, it was not shot with like a fucking studio rig or any of that. But the reason I brought up The Wire is because like season 1 of Andor is very much like that. Like the first 4 or 5 episodes, there's very little going on other than just introducing you to this world and these characters, and it is Star Wars. It's original trilogy era Star Wars stripped down to the bones. There's no like, they talk about the Emperor, but there's no Sith in this. There's no Darth Vader. There's no lightsabers. There's no Luke Skywalker. There's no Obi-Wan. It's literally just people trying to exist in a galaxy where there is a oppressive, fascist, overbearing regime that's getting worse every day, as they tend to. And you have to really trust this show. So as a very long-winded way of answering your question, like, I don't know. I feel like this show needs to hype that up, and it couldn't do that slow burn every season. I don't think it would feel good. I think what they're going to do with this is they're going to leave us wanting more, which is not a bad way to go.
That's definitely the better way to go, if you have the option to either leave people wanting more or leave people being like, man, I could have did without those last 3-4 bites.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Because I think at the end of this, we're going to be like, fuck, I kind of wish I had another 10 hours or whatever. But I don't know. I don't know if I need another 40 though.
Yeah.
I mean, unless like we're going to have like a whole episode of just Stellan Skarsgård. Each season we just have an episode of Stellan Skarsgård, like, we get a whole day in his life. You know what I mean? It's just like him dealing antiquities and like fucking up the Empire.
And the interesting thing about like just Andor as a whole, in terms of like what this show is, you're completely right. It's a show about a fascist regime and the people who suffer under them.
Yeah.
And to be quite honest, when you pair that with the fact that it's a prequel of sorts, I don't think that I will want to see 5 seasons of this when I know that there might be small victories along the way, but man, I'm not going to see them actually win.
No, as a matter of fact, they're probably the likelihood with this show is that the only person that makes it out of here is Mon Mothma, right? I mean,
oh yeah,
it's very likely that every single character in this show, with the exception of her, is going to bite it. Yeah. I mean, we know for a fact that most of them are.
Oh yeah.
So, the main character especially.
Oh, yeah.
That motherfucker's going to take a Death Star beam to the face. Spoilers for Rogue One.
A 10-year-old movie, yeah. He doesn't win that, by the way. That face fight with the...
wouldn't the Death Star just win every time?
Yeah.
Well, they do win, but they die to do it.
Right.
You know? And that's one of the reasons that it's like, while you know that all these folks are going to die, you know they're not fighting for nothing.
Yeah.
You know that the Empire will be overthrown. And that gives it just that little bit of hope, you know?
Oh, yeah.
That's in there.
You know, and assuming that Andor Season 2 sticks the landing, and I believe they will, but assuming that they do, it just makes Rogue One feel all the sweeter that way.
Yeah.
You know, because then you go back and you watch Rogue One again after viewing Andor Season 2, and it's like, wow, yeah, these characters, some more than others, I have really grown more attached to, and now their sacrifice really feels like it means even more than it did when I saw it 10 years ago.
When we rewatched Season 1 recently, I watched Rogue One at the end, and I will say that movie was infinitely better than it used to be with the context of Season 1. And I wonder if Season 2 will be even more, because this is going to basically lead right up to that.
Yeah.
Speaking of the intro to this show got me real hyped as the first episode was coming on. And I love that they have the year up there now, and they have the Ferrix anvil in the background to like denote the time. I thought that was a really nice touch.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, before we get too far into things, I suppose proper introductions are in order. So with that being said, homies one and all, allow us to welcome you back to another very special episode of the Superhero Homies Podcast. My name is Quentin, and as always, I am here with the man of every single hour. And the reason why I have to keep a mop in here, because he brings the drip every time. I'm talking about the homie Caleb.
That's true. I do be bringing the drip.
You do.
Junior, always bringing the drip.
He do.
And by that, I mean the alcohol he's got in those bottles. I am happy to be here. I love I love many things Star Wars. My controversial opinions on Star Wars have pissed off everybody on TikTok, so, here we are.
Yeah, there's always some shit going on there.
It's really funny, man, because, the funniest things catch the algorithm, you know? And it's just weird that one, but when you were like, oh, it's a Star Wars thing, I was like, oh man, which one of my controversial ass opinions caught the TikTok algorithm and pissed everybody off? And it wasn't even that crazy of a comment. So
yeah. But and it's like you said though, it is very true. I think that every time I think I have an idea of what's gonna catch, it's just up to the fucking algorithm gods.
Yeah, I totally thought that, my racist grandma didn't let me watch Mulan was going to do it.
They were like, this is normal.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, that happened to me too, man. Yeah, I get it. But let me call the Ewoks, let me call Andor, a teddy bear planet. And they're like...
just for shits and giggles, like, I posted a segment of us talking about WrestleMania. Whoo, boy. Yeah, that one. And that was just, I think, this morning. And, and it's like that got way more engagement than I thought it would, seeing that we never talk about wrestling on this podcast.
Well, man, wrestling fans are...
Oh, yeah.
What was it the Joe Hendry stuff?
No, it was actually just the Cena main event stuff and what's it going to look like moving forward.
Yeah. And they think it's good?
Some people, it's weird, right? Because, I don't know if there's just different people on YouTube and Instagram and TikTok, but man, it's like, it's just it's different reactions on
Oh,
those places.
those are definitely different audiences.
Yeah.
Like, shit. I shouldn't say this. The YouTube audience is way more sophisticated, I feel. But they're also, like, ruder, you know? Mm-hmm. I feel like nobody really goes on Instagram specifically to troll shit.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying there are no trolls. I'm just saying, like, people don't go there specifically for that.
Right.
The reward isn't really there. You know, that's better on, like, Reddit or whatever. And then TikTok, man, that's the wolves.
Yeah.
That you might as well post that shit on like Tumblr in like 2015.
Oh no.
We were talking about that today about how Tumblr was purchased by Yahoo for $1 billion.
Yahoo had $1 billion?
That's the best reaction I've ever heard to that statement. And they Elon Musk the shit out of it. They sold it like I think 2 years later for $3 million.
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And the homie Dylan was like, bruh, I know that CEO really fucked up. He was like, but they probably make more in like a year than I'm making my whole life. I was like, maybe. I was like, but you never lost $997 million on any of your investments.
That's true. Yeah. So I'm winning compared to him.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know? For sure.
Yep.
Oh, man. So I suppose we should talk about some Andor season 2.
I have so many things I want to talk about here.
Full spoilers for these first 3 episodes.
Yeah, full spoilers for the first 3 episodes of Andor season 2, and of course the whole first season. Yeah, man. I want to talk a little bit about how this show is shot. To me, I think that aspects of this are the best looking, like technically, that Star Wars has been, period.
I agree. That was the first thing that caught my eye when I started watching this season. It's just how good it looks.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think I said this on the season 1 review, but the world just looks so lived in. And, you know, you would think that there would be a strong temptation to have things look spacified or futuristic or this, that, or the third, but no, everything looks so like weathered and matter of fact and lived in. It's just even from like a cinematic standpoint, it's just shot so gorgeously.
Yeah. I gotta say that when the volume was first introduced, everybody was really fawning over the tech, right? And if you're not familiar, the volume is this technology they use to shoot like The Mandalorian. Most of Ahsoka was shot with it. Book of Boba Fett, you know, a lot of the Disney Plus stuff that we've seen, and like the volume is really good for a lot of what they do with it. And there's so many things that they are able to do. Like the thing that comes to me with like Mandalorian, probably like one of the most impressive visual sequences was the big crate dragon fight.
Mm-hmm.
And like the CGI looked incredible, and like all of that stuff was just incredible. Or the train that they had, that train sequence.
Yes.
That shit was also amazing. Like how they depicted the speed, you know?
Right.
But the volume does have its limits. It's really good with CGI, and it's really good with these like wide shots. But the thing about the volume is you are limited by this relatively smaller space of it. You're not shooting on a real physical set. And so you can't do this lengthy one shots like we see in like Daredevil and also in Andor, right? Where you have this one shot and you have your characters moving and doing something. Mm-hmm. There's nowhere for them to fucking go.
Yeah.
So, you know, you can shoot them going over here, and then you can change the camera angle, and the scene is completely different, and it's much easier for them to do that in the volume. But this show, I think, really just kind of shits on the limitations of it, because there's some beautiful shots here that I think some of them look better than any of the films, even. I'm
inclined to agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just it's a really good looking show right off the bat.
Yeah. And so we have, we'll get into some of these individual plots here, but throughout these 3 episodes, right, we have three, I would say, main plots. You have the plot on Mina Rao, which is like Bix and Brasso.
Yep.
And like really I would just say the Empire, but it's mainly them and like B2, and they're running from the Empire.
From ICE.
And this ties, of course, directly into Cassian's plot, which obviously Cassian has another one of the major arcs, which is like the Starfighter theft. And then you have the events on Chandrila. Those are like the main plots. And then we do get, I'd say like we have two like B plots basically, which would be the ISB stuff with the Empire. And well, I guess you have the ISB stuff like that involves Krennic, and then you have kind of the B plot with Cyril and Mira, Daedra. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. The fucking odd couple there.
I never in a million years, we can talk about this now. I never in a million years thought I would say this, but I kind of like them.
I think that they are good together in the sense that like no one else has to deal with them.
See, I like Daedra as a character.
Watching them interact is like watching Love on the Spectrum.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I think that they heavily hint that he is actually on the spectrum here.
Yeah.
And I do think too that they very intentionally portrayed him with like an incel mentality in season 1, and then but now he does have somebody that actually cares about him, and so
how the fuck? I know there was a year. How the fuck did that happen?
Well, I think it's like he's like realized that the things that are like kind of quirks about him, and he has a lot that have always ostracized him from society. She makes him feel like that it's fine, that he's got like some security there with her, and it's like really good for him. I mean, this motherfucker needs therapy, but this is like the next best thing he's gonna get. She protects him.
Yeah.
And we see her stand up to his fucking mom, which was amazing.
Yeah. That was a great moment.
Yeah. I really loved that. But as a matter of fact, we're kind of skipping around here, but on that same plot, which is, this plot is pretty brief. There's a shot that they do later on that I really loved where, he just got done getting berated by his mom, and this is where Daedra has this, come to Jesus meeting with his mom. Like, look, you're not going to talk to him like that. I will make sure that, you're involved in our lives, but, how much that happens is going to be directly related to, how much bullshit you bring us.
Yeah.
It's basically the conversation that everyone wants to have with their mother-in-law, for the most part. And I love that scene, but I really love the shot where he's laying on the bed.
Yep.
And Tony Gilroy actually did not want to put that in there, but the person that directed that specific episode was like, no, we can pull it off. We'll make it work. And he was like, I don't know how the fuck you're going to do that. He's like, I think the shot's going to look terrible. But then he was like, when he saw it on the results or whatever, he was like, oh, no, we're definitely putting that in there, because they're basically highlighting him being on the spectrum to an extent where, he just completely has shut down, right? He just has to go in there and fucking have some floor time. It was bedtime, but, yeah, he has to just have some time away from this bullshit because he can't process it and respond to it accordingly. But she can and does.
Yeah.
And I really love this moment right here where she tells the mom off.
Yeah, that was impressive.
Yeah.
I don't know what I expected from that scene. It wasn't that.
No.
I was thoroughly satisfied with what that scene gave us.
Yeah.
I am, I guess, curious is the right word to use to see where their relationship and where their story goes.
Yeah, I worry for Cyril for sure, because something about the whole thing, like for me, I feel like he's going to end up going to Gorman with her, and I think shit is going to get bad there.
Yeah.
So I guess we can talk about that too. Is in this first episode, we get Krennic. Krennic is back.
Yep.
Which this is a prequel, so I guess this is technically chronologically this is his introduction.
Oh my gosh, we get to see Krennic for the first time,
and he has the various members of the Empire from various agencies. He has the best and brightest from the ISB there. Mm-hmm. He has the Ministry of, what was it, Enlightenment? Is what they call their propaganda arm.
Yeah, yes. It was some culty bullshit like that.
Yeah, Ministry of Enlightenment, a.k.a. Propaganda Network.
Yeah.
They had some people from, like, the military there. And, Krennic, of course, this is the most important meeting that will ever take place ever. The Emperor told me himself how important all this is, blah, blah, blah. And Krennic, to me, is always fantastic. He's just such a good Imperial officer. Like,
oh yeah, he's who you want in a role like this. Somebody who can spin bullshit to other bullshit artists and have them buy it.
Yeah, much better than his MCU role.
Wait, who is he in the MCU?
Talos, isn't he? Is it the same guy?
Oh, is that the same? The fucking makeup is throwing me off.
Yeah. Let's see.
And also, you know how I feel about how I feel about the use of the scrolls.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. So yeah, Ben Mendelsohn.
Oh,
he's Talos and Krennic, and yeah, he's amazing as Krennic though.
Yeah,
he's just Krennic is everything about an Imperial officer. It's like he's mediocre as fuck at his job, but that mediocrity is awarded, right? Obviously, he's Director Krennic. Like, this motherfucker can walk into Darth Vader's house.
Yeah.
How many people in the Empire do you think can do that? Probably like 10 maximum.
You can count them on like Vader's real limbs.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I don't think very many people can just walk up and summon this motherfucker out his back to tank.
Yeah.
And he got the shit choked out of him for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, obviously that sort of mediocrity is rewarded when you are like insanely dedicated to the cause, which he is. And he's like the go-getter for the Emperor, Yep. But also you can tell with Krennic, and you see this in Rogue One especially, is like when it comes to like the actual top brass of like the Empire, like the people who were like meeting in Episode 4 with Tarkin on the Death Star or whatever, like they probably look down on him.
Yeah.
Like the Death Star is his project, whatever. But like as soon as that's completed and the weapons turned over to them, they no longer give a fuck about him.
Yeah.
Hence Tarkin melting him.
Yeah.
In Rogue One.
Yeah, I think that's pretty strong evidence to support your case.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's just always so full of this just arrogance, you know.
What'd you think of this little I don't know what you call it, this
infomercial?
Yeah.
I thought it was hilarious because he's like, this is the most important meeting in the whole empire, blah, 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 blah. And then it's this like textile company commercial or whatever. And you can tell that Daedra and what's the other guy?
Game of Thrones alumni?
Yeah, Game of Thrones guy. Game of Thrones man.
Maester so-and-so.
Yeah, Maester, what's his face? Let's see. I want to get his name here. He's not in every episode.
He's in enough, though.
Yeah, it's not Blevin. Let's see. Think I'd have come across him by now. Maybe I missed him. Oh, well. All right, so... Huh. Could have swore. Oh, Partagaz. Major Partagaz.
Okay.
Yeah, so Daedra Miro and Major Partagaz are here for the ISB, and like the look they exchange when the shit starts playing, they're just like, why are we here?
Yeah.
But, you know, this is a secret meeting. It's not the Council of Elrond. It's a different secret meeting. And it turns out that the center of this planet, Gorman, that they're watching, it's a textile planet. But this planet's like crust or whatever, or the core maybe, has a thing called calcite. And apparently there's like synthetic versions of it all throughout the Empire or whatever, but like they need the real shit. And this planet has a fuck ton of it. And they need it for the Emperor's energy project.
Yeah.
Which, isn't that just some typical fascism bullshit to like sell this mega weapon as like an infinite energy source?
Oh, of course.
You know, this is all for our energy project, which in truth, that's actually what Galen Erso was working on originally when he started doing the research for the Empire.
Yeah.
Is he was actually researching a renewable energy source, and then once they figured out, oh well, he can make this reactor that can do all this stuff, they were like, all right, well, we're going to turn it into a super weapon.
As one does.
Which, I mean, obviously everything about the Empire is always an allegory for fascism, right? So if you look at what happened in real life, you know, we took nuclear energy, which was this is an infinite energy source, and we went, I wonder what happened if we put it in a bomb. You know?
Yeah. You know, when you put it that way, you make a good point. Yeah, man, like this. Yeah, this whole idea of what they're doing right here is so slimy.
Oh yeah,
and it's just incredibly fucking infuriating. Like what they're doing here with, because like, you know, it's only gonna bring about like more fucking suffrage.
Yeah,
for everyone who's not them.
Oh, absolutely, and they're not even coy about what the aim is here, because they're like, yeah, well, the problem is us drilling it could destabilize the whole planet.
Yeah.
So they're like, we either have to move everybody off said planet, which we have to get them to agree to do that, or we could also not, you know, and they could just go away.
Yeah, yeah. And then, yeah, I mean, like you said, they're not even being coy about it. At one point, they say, well, you know, we've thought about, you know, plagues or, you know, this or that to get rid of them. I'm like, shit. So y'all aren't even trying to disguise it anymore. That's just straight up genocide, you know? So,
yeah,
it's pretty fucking awful what they have going on here, what they have planned. Agreed.
Yeah, and they're just like, you know, we're going to come up with a propaganda campaign, right? We're going to give people a reason to dislike the Gormans.
Yep.
So that when things happen, it'll be, you know, it'll be fine. Like, people will just accept it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, propaganda is a powerful tool.
Yeah, I was trying to find the exact quote, but basically, one of the there's a quote. I actually think that it was originally made about the Empire and Star Wars, but it applies to all fascism, and it's basically you don't have to plant an idea. All you have to do is give people a reason to act on the prejudices they already have. And that's exactly what they're doing here.
Yeah.
You know, we just think that like xenophobia is bad in our world, like for somebody that comes across the ocean.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is like, this motherfucker could come across the galaxy.
Yeah.
You know? And you just got to think about like how different these like different species are and everything, and like how they're able to prey on like xenophobia and stuff like that. And ultimately, when he talks to Deidre Miro, you know, he's just kind of like, I've heard about you. I've heard that you're like the ISB's brightest. You know, he's like, I'm hearing the plans that they have, but I want to know what you think. And at first, she kind of just gives him a very textbook kind of answer. And he's like, I could have had anybody tell me that.
Yeah.
He's like, what do you really think? And she's really not used to people wanting to hear what she really thinks or whatever, because she tried to warn them about Aldani.
Yeah.
You know, about how they responded to that. And he, you know, she tells him, well, you need a rebel group there that you can trust to do the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Basically, they're going to plant a insurgent group there that are actually the Empire, but they're just acting as rebels.
Yeah.
And, you know, at that point, the government there will invite you in. Like, oh, yeah, you have to protect us from these people. Isn't that what you're supposed to do? Oh, yeah, we'll come set up a base there.
Yeah.
You know, and that they will invite you in with open arms so that you can do what you can do. And I'm sure probably in season 2, we're probably going to, or the second block of episodes, we're probably going to see that play out.
Yeah, because, I mean, like, this is as far as I can recall, this is the only time they talk about the Gorman stuff in great detail.
Yeah.
So I assume that, if not the second block, maybe the third block of episodes, we definitely got to go back and revisit that or go there.
Some shit is definitely going to happen. One of the things that they are going to cover, and, you know, this isn't really a spoiler per se. If it is, it's incredibly minor. But in Star Wars canon, there is an event called the Gorman Massacre.
Oh.
And it was basically a major set-off point for the rebellion, because the official start of the rebellion is the Aldani heist, right? Like, and it's just like Miro said, is like, it wasn't a robbery, it was an announcement.
Yep.
Like, that is pretty much where the rebellion really started. I mean, there was all these little groups all the time, but Palpatine used them to stay in power.
Yeah.
You know, it was, oh, well, yeah, the Clone Wars are over, the Separatists are gone, but we still need all this security. I mean, look at what's happening. Look at all these insurgents. Look at all these rebel cells. Aldani, I think, is the first step on the actual formation of a rebel alliance, because we don't have a rebel alliance right now. So,
yeah. Yeah, like what we have right now is just like various pockets of, you know, of groups that want to rebel.
Yeah,
you know, it's I mean, like, and that's kind of what I really dig about like this sector of Star Wars. It's not just that it's more mature, but it's more mature for a reason. You know, they delve into like the nuances of what this universe really looks like. So they go beyond the black and white of, you know, the good versus evil, and look at like the politics of it, and even the economics of it all. And so like that's kind of the really cool thing about Andor as a whole, and just this sector of Star Wars, that you get to see shit from a more grimy, more personable viewpoint.
It's really crazy that they shot this all last year, because some of this shit is very timely.
It is.
Like,
and it had me questioning, like, okay, well, I wonder when they... like,
when did you guys film this?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they filmed it before the election and everything. It was all done last year. I mean, so, you know, I think that maybe does speak to the timelessness of it. Like, you know, the concept of refugees and things like that is always an ongoing issue somewhere in our world, you know? So I want to come back to talking about all the kind of disparate, like, rebel groups in a minute. So that'll bring us actually into Cassian's story here. I love the way they open this very first episode.
Yes.
You actually don't see any of the characters we know of yet. They take us into a room where we see a starfighter. And if you're a Star Wars nerd like myself, you immediately know that this thing is probably an early prototype for the TIE Advance X1, which is Vader's ship that he flies.
Yeah, you actually told me about that. I had no idea. I just thought it was a cool ship he was stealing.
So in the Legends canon, this is actually the TIE Avenger. Okay. Is this ship. And I forget the name of the company or whatever, but they built this ship and they were like, this is going to be a more sophisticated starfighter. And, it's got multiple weapons. It's got the fucking reactor energy beam or whatever. It's got missiles. It's got its own hyperdrive, which TIE fighters don't have. It has its own shields, which TIE fighters don't have. And they were like, we should just replace all the TIE fighters with these. And then the Empire was like, how much that gonna cost?
Yeah.
And then they told them, and they were like, we can get more pilots. So it's not really.
Let me ask you this. And again, like, they still have time, I guess, if they want to go back and do this. What did you think about the fact of where season 1 ends is that very tense showdown between Luthen and Cassian. And then when we jump here a year later in season 2, we don't really get to see a payoff for that.
Well, I think as we know, that's my least favorite thing about the first season is the way that it ends. Mm-hmm. But we know he's going to go work, like Luthen's going to take him in.
Sure.
And so we come here a year later and he's working for Luthen. So
yeah, I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, if you are going to end the season like that, then it has to mean something more, because, like you said, we know where this is going to go, that they are going to end up working together. So why end season 1 in that fashion?
Right. And that's why I'm not a fan of it. I guess they always could flash back to it, but I don't think this show has the time to do that. I don't think they will. One thing I will say about this show is they know that Cassian and Luthen on screen together is like money, and they never fucking give it to you. They hate giving it to you.
Yeah. We've only gotten a handful of scenes, and that was in season 1 so far.
Yeah.
But no, I really dig this opening scene though, in season 2, episode 1, and the young girl who he's talking to, who is rightfully nervous as fuck about this whole ordeal.
Oh yeah, because they're gonna kill you.
Yeah, and she's asking, basically like, is this worth it? And the answer might be different from person to person, but in the grand scheme of things, if you're for the cause, then yeah. Yeah,
Luthen's in a dope ass Imperial TIE pilot outfit, and yeah, they've infiltrated, like they've basically, I don't want to say indoctrinated, but they've recruited this girl that works here at this facility, and she wants to help the rebellion and everything, and Cassian really, I think, goes a long way to reassure her, and we see how much growth Cassian has had in a year.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to imagine the Cassian from season 1 having this talk with her.
Yeah.
And, they power this ship up and he steals it. Now, my headcanon here for this is that I think they intended this ship for Vader, right? Because this thing is incredibly difficult to fly. Mm-hmm. But Anakin could fly it, no problem. And I'm just like, who the fuck else was this made for if not for Anakin?
He is struggling with this thing.
Yeah, and he's a fucking pilot. Like, he's the guy they brought in for the Aldhani heist.
Yeah.
And he was like, what the fuck were y'all going to do if I wasn't here, Isn't this incredibly more satisfying than this character is a pilot, so no matter what they find, he can fly it expertly as if...
Yeah.
He's been flying it his whole life.
Well, that would just be flat out ironic what you just said there. Just moronic.
Yeah, that'd be dumb, right? Yeah. The writing on that would be terrible.
Yeah, it'd be awful. That writing really leans on the viewer to just go along with it and fill in all the blanks.
Contrived.
Yeah, that's a great word.
Yeah.
For that. Yeah.
Yeah, incredibly contrived. Yeah, I hope they never do that.
Yeah. But seeing Cassian struggle with this thing really just goes to show like what kind of difficulty is there in flying this ship.
Yeah,
because like it'd be different if like it took him a moment or two to kind of compose himself and like, okay, so they got this switch over here and then this does that, but that's not the case here.
Yeah, even at the end of these 3 episodes, I don't think he can fly the thing that well. And, like, luckily for him, the thing's got shields and is made out of some really strong shit because...
Real strong.
He scrapes all inside of that hangar with this thing.
What I really love about this scene, too, is that it's framed so that, at least I was thinking, oh, he has to figure out how to get out of here before those doors close.
Right.
And then, like, they keep panning back to the door, and it's getting smaller and smaller. And I'm like, bro, you got to figure this shit out.
Yeah. And like, there was some incredibly good, like, action comedy in this opening because, like, the guy is like, oh, fuck this. And this guy is I'm pretty sure he's a shore trooper, by the way. Not that you needed that nerdy shit from me. But he's got the rocket launcher, and he's like, oh, yeah, fuck this. And then Cassian hits him with the beam. And the dude is just gone. It was hilarious.
It's my headcanon that he moved out of the way and just hit and never came back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then Cassian's like, oh, well, that worked pretty well. And then you see him just start blasting like a little hole in the door.
That was great.
I love this whole thing. And, like, I don't even love a chase sequence. And I know you don't either. But I definitely didn't mind this whole intro here.
This was actually really well done because it wasn't so lazy. Most chase scenes and any kind of thing that's action oriented, it's just lazy. I think about one of my favorite movies, Thor Ragnarok. Like, believe it or not, there's a fucking chase scene in that, and it is just as boring and as lazy as it could be.
Yeah.
They think if you turn up the music and then like, increase the speed lines that it'll be more exciting, and it's not. But this, it made sense.
Yeah. Yeah, like the chase scene in like Phantom Menace to me has always been so damn just bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, I just blank out.
Yeah. But like this is a lot more like the chase scene in Independence Day, for instance, where he basically it's him versus the alien fighter.
Yeah,
that is exhilarating, even all these years later. So like. It's a tool that can be used. It's just one that, like, effectively, it's just one that is kind of like the go-to for your kind of bottom of the barrel, lowest common denominator filmmaking. Oh, we need to eat up some time. Let's throw in a chase sequence. They love a good chase sequence. We don't.
Yeah, we really don't.
But this one was awesome.
Yeah, we do appreciate an actual good chase sequence. It's just there's so few of them.
Yeah. So he steals this thing, and he is supposed to go to Yavin 4, which, as we know, Yavin 4 is incredibly significant in the timeline. Yavin 4 is where the Rebel base is actually going to be that we'll see in Rogue One, and then again in Star Wars Episode 4. As a matter of fact, the entire Star Wars timeline is based off of the Battle of Yavin, where the first Death Star is destroyed. So this takes place in 4 BBY, which is before Battle of Yavin. And then, of course, everything after that is ABY. So yeah, that moment at the end of Star Wars Episode 4 is like the crux of their timeline.
Yeah. Oh, that's a cool little thing to put together.
Yeah, I don't know what the characters in the world right now would have called it, because,
That's true, yeah.
Because you'd think the Empire would have done something about it if they were like, all right, we're fine as long as we just don't go to Yavin today.
Yeah. Everyone stay here.
Yeah, and then they're like, oh, but sir, that's where the Rebel base is. And like, all right, well, let's go. But yeah, Yavin 4 is where Cassian takes it, and Cassian is supposed to hand the ship off to another pilot that is in Luthen's chain or whatever. And we don't really know what was supposed to happen with this starfighter.
Yeah.
And we probably aren't ever going to know, because when we check back in, it's going to be a year later.
Yeah.
So it really isn't going to matter. And that's the thing that's going to be interesting about this season overall, is we're going to get like we're just getting a small glimpse into how things are. Like the real overarching story here is actually going to be how the rebellion comes together. Mm-hmm. But we're going to get to, I think, see all these really good character moments and things in the midst of that, which the show is known for.
You think they put a GPS tracking unit on that fighter, you know?
Well, so it is kind of an established thing that they can't track something through hyperspace.
Okay.
So they do have that kind of rule of their world to...
Gotcha.
Especially they wouldn't have had the technology here to do it. But even then, the thing has a hyperdrive, so like, I mean, let's just say that they're like, that, you know, he steals this thing. And like, this was a prototype at a company. Yeah. Like the Empire obviously had people there, but this is like a military contractor. So, you know, there's a fuck ton of red tape. Somebody's going to be like, man, we probably should tell the military that we lost this fucking fighter we were designing. And then, you know, they're probably like, well, who's going to tell them, blah, 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 you know. Like, nobody wants, like, Vader to show up and start asking questions.
Yeah, that's going to be the worst and last day of your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like playing GTA and sneaking into the military base and trying to steal a helicopter.
Right. Yeah, it's not going to go well. Yeah. And then when they do reach out to the Empire's going to come there, ask a bunch of fucking questions, and, like, even if they could track the thing, they still got to, like, get there, you know. Like we said, the TIE fighters don't have, the regular TIE fighters do not have hyperdrives, so, like, they're going to have to bring a fucking Star Destroyer.
Yeah, to deal with it. Yeah. God damn, yeah.
I mean, they have smaller ships with hyperdrives, but, like, as we saw in Season 1, and we will see in Season 2, like, the Empire is this massive bureaucracy, you know, and they react like massive bureaucracies react, you know. Plus, it's, you know, another element of fascism here. Like, the whole thing is kind of ran with this overwhelming incompetence, too. Not to the point that it doesn't make sense, but to the point that it does make sense, you know. So, Cassian gets here, and this is where we kind of start to see this whole thing where we have all these split rebel cells, right? And this is definitely my least favorite part of these episodes, when he's stranded on the planet with these guys.
Same.
But they're all part of the rebellion. Mm-hmm. They're just part of different parts of the rebellion. Yeah. And even Cassian at one point is like, you motherfuckers, like, we're all fighting. We're part of the same team or whatever. And they're like, well, tell us who you're working for. He's like, absolutely fucking not. Yeah. Like, yeah, Luthen don't play that shit. Yeah. And, It just goes to show you, like, that's the main thing they're trying to convey here, was that these guys don't have a chance against the Empire. They're literally sitting on this planet in this jungle, killing each other.
Yeah.
While there are giant beasts in this forest that want to murder them, which is obviously symbolism for, you know, why they can't do shit to the Empire.
Yeah.
You know? It's like you got this ginormous, like, rage elephant thing that wants to kill you all, and y'all are shooting blasters at each other.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Those guys there, like when I think it's episode 2 when Cassian he's able to escape.
Yeah.
You know? And when he does, I was like, I think those guys are just dumb.
Yeah. Like, and I think he's felt the same way, right? Because when they have the split or whatever, and also they killed the only pilot they have, so, like, now they can't kill Cassian.
Yeah.
He's literally their only way off the planet.
Right.
And Cassian immediately just starts telling them, like, hey, man, you guys probably should put up a perimeter. It's raining. You guys probably want to back up some of that water if we're going to be here for a while. He's just like, if you motherfuckers are going to kidnap me, then, like, can we at least, survive?
And these guys didn't have any plan, didn't have any resources.
No.
They didn't have anything, you know. All they had was a vague desire to fight the Empire.
Yeah. And
some moldy rations.
Yeah. Yeah. And then that very quickly, you know, they just Lord of the Flies turn on each other in a heartbeat. Bro,
the whole idea they had of trying to turn the ship, I was like, This is the dumbest shit.
Yeah. And it wasn't like dumb like no one would think to do it. It was dumb like someone would think to do it, but they'd be surrounded by enough other dumb people that would be like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like in the episode of SpongeBob when Patrick was like, they were like, well, how are we going to save ourselves from the Alaskan bullworm or whatever? And he was like, we can just take Bikini Bottom and push it over here. And then they're like, that's a fucking dumb idea. And they end up doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you ever like been off a day at work and then like you come back to work and find out some stupid shit has happened? Yeah, this was like that.
Yeah, it's like if you, it's proof that if you're confident enough, it doesn't matter what your intelligence score is. You can convince other people to go with your dumb, confident idea.
Yeah, as long as you got that riz, you're good.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't love this. This is definitely the low part of the episode, but I gotta say, like, this is the only thing I didn't like really enjoy, I think.
And also, I understand the point of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know that they needed to make the point for as long as they made it.
I agree.
You know?
Yeah. But I guess, like, they had to figure out a way to keep Cassian busy long enough.
For the Empire to do some fuck shit?
Yeah.
Let's go to that story next, because I want to save Chandrila for the end. I think Chandrila is the money shot. And to me, out of all these different plot lines, like, I was glued to every second of the Chandrila stuff.
I invested in parts of it, and then other parts, I'm like, I need this to converge into something.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because, all right, so we'll get there in a second. So Cassian here, he's trying to get back. Well, he doesn't know yet, but he's trying to get back to Mina Rao.
Yeah.
And Mina Rao is where Brasso and Bix Colleen and Pack, which is the guy that the Empire killed his father in season 1, and he throws the bomb or whatever.
Yeah.
And he done got him a little hottie.
Yeah.
On Mina Rao. And but basically they're there as refugees. They're illegal immigrants. And they're working in these look like wheat fields, basically. And essentially, the Empire needs all this grain. You know, they have to feed their fucking, 10 billion person army or whatever. And we come to find out that, the Empire is doing an audit of all the workers here. And their boss or whatever is just like, oh, well, they know that not everybody's legal. It should be fine. We as the audience know that, yes, they might know that, but that is also why they are here.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that our protagonists here are very, very wanted after the events of season 1.
Oh, yeah.
Bix was literally held by the ISB, which she is having nightmares about, as I'm sure anybody would, about Dr. Gorst. But her and B2 and Brasso and Pack, they're all here hiding out, and the Empire basically cuts off all the communication to the planet, and so that nobody can slip away while they're doing their little accounting or whatever.
Yeah, well, so they can keep inventory right. You know how it is.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. First off, the shots on this planet are gorgeous.
Yeah.
All the cinematography here was A1. But I love that we got to see this, because we don't really get to see a lot of this in Star Wars, where it's just, these are just your everyday people. They're just trying to live a peaceful life. And they can't, because the motherfucking Empire.
Yeah.
And, we get these very typical fascist soldiers that come through. And we get all this anxiety building up from our characters because they know that this is coming, right? And, their boss is trying to get them a work order, to go a couple of sectors over while they're counting where they live. And then they could come back here and hopefully miss it. And they've got this work order or whatever. Well, come to find out, like, they're getting ready to leave and everything, and Will has gone to say goodbye to his hottie that he met on the planet. I don't blame him. But this is when the Empire rolls in.
Always cock blocking.
All the time. And as we come to find out, their boss was basically two-timing them and had already, went to them and said, hey, look, I got some of the, I got these people working for me. They don't have visas, whatever. Probably so he didn't get in trouble because he knew they were going to get busted.
Yeah.
And it was going to come back on him. But this is more, he turned him over. And, this is a thing that happens a lot even today where people are very quick to want to take advantage of, immigrant or refugee labor because it's cheap.
Yeah.
And then once they don't need them anymore, then it's, I don't want to get in trouble.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Don't take it personal.
Right. Yeah. And it's so crazy how, timely this whole storyline is.
It really is.
What did you think about these characters here and where they've ended up?
Yeah, no, I think for me what really sold this arc was the tension and the timetable of it.
Yes.
Because that time is limited, and that in order for their plan to work, they have to. It's a lot of ifs and maybes in their plan, and they also have to be in the right places at the exact right times. But they're not, and time is not on their side, and shit goes sideways, and then it just slides downhill from there.
Oh, real sideways.
Yeah. And it's just one of those things where you kind of wonder, how are they going to get out of this? And, what's the proper solution for an issue like this? Because, were you going to try to fight them? That's not going to work.
No. No, it's not going to work. Unless a friend of yours has stolen, a prototype Imperial TIE fighter. That's
such an odd thing to say.
It is. That's a completely out of left field thing to happen.
So I feel like a lot of people have been talking about this particular scene with Bix.
Yes, we have to talk about this. Mm-hmm. There's been a lot of opinions about this online. And I'll admit, man, when I watched this the first time, I'm like, how far is this going to go?
Yeah.
Because this is not something that you've ever really seen play out in Star Wars.
Right.
So, just trigger warning, there is if you haven't seen these episodes, there is an attempted sexual assault in the third episode. A lot of people have had different opinions about this, and I understand those different opinions. I don't think it goes far enough that I would not want them to put it in here. As a matter of fact, I'm actually really glad they put it in here because with fascist regimes, man, one of the kind of common aspects is that women are typically treated like objects in these regimes. Typically, they have lesser rights than men and things like that, and very objectified.
This is also just a blatant show of power.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what do you think that people in these positions do with that kind of power? Unfortunately, a lot of times.
Yeah, because he knows she's there illegally. Mm-hmm. He's already been told that.
Yep.
And he's like, well,
shit, your husband ain't here.
Yeah, your husband ain't here. So, if you want me to just go on about my business, there's things we could do. And here's the thing, even if, let's just say that she did want to take him up on that.
Yeah.
He could just turn around after that anyway.
Exactly.
What's she gonna do? Be like, oh, we had a deal, blah blah blah. So, and this guy's just a sleazy, disgusting.
Yeah. At first, I think it's in episode 1. He tries with his level 1 charisma to recite whatever his bullshit pickup artist line was.
Yeah.
And
there's some show or something that he wants her to go to.
Yeah,
with him.
And it doesn't work. And hey, listen, we've all been there. Well, I won't say I've definitely been there. She tells you she's got a man. She could be lying. It doesn't matter though.
It doesn't matter though because she ain't interested in you.
Yeah.
So
keep it moving and go to the next one.
Yeah, yeah. There's 3.7 billion women on the planet.
Yeah.
This one ain't for you. Keep stepping. And obviously, he's not going to do that.
Yeah.
Because
when in episode 1, when you saw that scene, did you think it was going to come back to play out like this?
When he first said it to her, I got really worried, right? Because it's just the two of them there, and I was like, Bix has been through so fucking much, and when it all comes to a head in episode 3, and you know, that the other Imperial officer is there. He seems like he might be like right up under this dude. He's like second in command for their squad, maybe. And Bix is like, you know, he tried to rape me. The other guy didn't seem shocked by that at all.
Didn't seem concerned by that at all.
No, not shocked, not concerned. That it was business as usual.
Yeah.
And unfortunately for him, he has never played any first-person shooters because he left himself wide open to get wrecked.
Yes.
And I mean, honestly, it was amazing watching Bix wreck their shit.
Mm-hmm. Bro, the fight between her and old Creepy Hands.
Yeah,
that was intense.
It was an incredibly intense fight, man, because we all care about Bix as a character. We know what she's been through, what she's suffered through, and nobody likes creepy, grabby Empire guy.
Right.
And, I mean, their fight was... It is hard to look at something like that objectively, but, like, the fight was well choreographed.
Yeah.
You know? And them putting that, like, level of realism into it made it much more intense.
They were potentially moments away from, like, a Watchmen level of uncomfortableness, you know?
I kind of thought it was going in that direction.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I warned the homie Oz about the scene today, and that's actually the scene he referenced. He was like, well, you know, is it like something along those lines? I was like, it's actually thankfully not that bad.
Yeah. I mean, and don't get me wrong, like, it's... The Watchmen, that can do that needs it. This was appropriately far for this section of Star Wars.
This is way further than anything Star Wars has ever gone.
Yeah.
But I think that just helps it hit home, like, what's at stake here, you know? Mm-hmm. That these people are fighting against the Empire. They don't want to be in a war, but the Empire really is giving them no choice.
Yeah.
Because as we see here, the Empire's like modus operandum here is that they're going to put their boot on everybody's neck. And if you fight back, then we're going to use propaganda to justify killing you, basically, or worse. And people are going to go along with it.
Yep.
It's it's fascist regime 101.
Oh, yeah. You know? Yeah. It's the oldest fascist trick in the book.
That's right. But yeah, we have this storyline, and thankfully Cassian shows up.
He does show up. Brasso, unfortunately, doesn't make it.
Yeah, Brasso doesn't make it, so we got Will and Bix out of there.
I was surprised he made it as long as he did when he was, running away towards the speeder.
Yeah, I liked Brasso.
Yeah.
He was a man's man. He was a big boy.
Yeah, he was a big old boy. And I was like, man, even here, these fucking stormtroopers can't hit shit.
Yeah. I thought he was gonna fight them for a minute. I was like, my money is on Brasso, man.
Yeah, in close quarter, and we discussed this before. I don't think that armor does much for them.
Nope. Nope. I will say though that these stormtroopers, they can kill you.
Yeah.
But not specifically these.
Yeah. But yeah, thankfully, Cassian, he does swoop in.
Literally.
Yeah, quite literally.
and he knows how to use the weapons on this thing. When they brought the convoy out there, I was like, oh man, this is probably about to be over pretty quick. And then Cassian just shoots the fucking thing with the missile, and it's just done. But I love the way that this whole battle scene was shot.
Yeah. I mean, and it was great, right? Like, there was this one scene that, all things considered, was pretty, I guess, brief. But it's when he swoops in with the fighter, and he's shooting, at the stormtroopers when they're chasing Brasso, and like you see just the dirt kick up from the explosions from the lasers, and it's like that. It's just a really cool kind of shot where like the dirt. I mean, obviously the lasers aren't real.
Right.
But like the dirt kick up is.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
There's very little CGI in this show. And so when it is in there, they mask it with practical effects to make it feel more real, you know. I I want to come back to this scene in a minute because the way that this third episode ends, I think, is cinematic masterpiece. Like the way that they actually end the third episode. So let's go to the Chandrila plot, which to me is probably the most interesting. We follow up with Mon Mothma. So in season 1, we found out that, they got involved with this kind of shady banker guy in order to help hide their activities.
Davo?
Davo Skolden.
Yep.
And her childhood friend Tay is the one that arranged all this, and it seems to be going pretty well. And the only thing he wanted in return was, an introduction of his son to their daughter. In Chandrila, they still do like arranged marriages and stuff.
Yep.
So one of the points of this scene is, they talk about in season 1 how the whole arranged marriage thing hasn't really been a thing for a while. But then it's like, well, it's actually making a comeback. And all these like old traditions are making a comeback, with the younger generation. And that too is another element of fascism, is that it always relies on tradition as like a, oh, well, things were better when we did this. That's always a central tenet of it. And we get to see that kind of progress here into this arranged marriage. And so they're here planning for the wedding. And, of course, did you immediately also know who she was talking about when she was, like, looking out and was like, oh, somebody had showed up that startled her? That it was going to be Luthen?
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. And we get, the man is here, and he's in his full, what was it? His art broker or whatever mode.
Oh, yeah. Full
curator.
Yeah,
the curator.
Right, yeah. He is to that job what Mr. Glass was to his fucking
comic book store.
Yeah. What's the name of his right hand person?
Clea. She is cold, bro.
Yeah.
But she is great.
She's great.
Yeah. And I love how little we got to see. What's the other girl here that's in love with Vel?
Yeah. I know you're talking about.
I've got it here somewhere. So there's Vel and I'd be able to tell you her name any other time. Except for now.
That's how that shit go.
That's probably too far. Cinta. Yeah.
Oh, okay, Cinta.
Cinta is used so well here, and she's only in like a few shots. But so Luthen Rail and Clea have arrived at the party, and she gets even more worried when they go right up to Skolden.
Yeah.
And, she's just like, what are you doing here? And I got to say, Genevieve O'Reilly fucking kills it in all of these scenes because she very much has her, like, senator, the kind of outward thing that she has to put on. And then you can always just, you can see her, like, she acts with her face so well. You can see the anxiety and the tension with her. And then she, like, has to continuously, like, pull it together.
Yeah.
She absolutely kills it here. This is, like, her best work to me so far.
Yeah, no, she's doing a really great job here. I guess, like, my only real contention with any of this is that I feel like some of this shit could have been a little bit more condensed.
Yeah.
It's like and it's like, don't get me wrong, I love the reveal of what's going on here, and I love like how we get like, the rollout that her male bestie may, have some ulterior motives, and that you see him kind of slipping, and I love, like you wondering what's the deal with Davo and Luthen, like what is that about, and then like with Mon Mothma, you just get the idea that, man, like, she is trying her best to keep it all together, but man, it's coming undone at the seams, and she's struggling to keep it all together.
And one of the themes in season 1 between the two of them too was that Luthen was always like, I'm out here getting my hands dirty every fucking day, so that you don't have to.
Yeah,
you can sit up here in your ivory tower and cut checks, and you think that you have the hard job. You know.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say though?
Well, I guess just play with that really quick. It would be hard if it had to write checks.
Yeah.
That would be incredibly difficult for me. But no, I was just gonna say, I need to see exactly how this progresses.
Yes,
and what this becomes into.
Yeah, I agree. I actually really love the Chandrila stuff. This is a planet that's referenced in Star Wars a lot, but you never really get to go here. And I think the set pieces here were absolutely gorgeous. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things going on here. One is like, Luthen is here because he brought this, Skolden got this ancient statue or whatever from him.
What's the deal with that statue?
So I don't know if you caught the reference here, but they actually there was the this statue, I think they said one of 8 or one of 12 was in this Chandrilan holy site temple during the Rakatan invasion. Did you catch that?
I didn't.
So the Rakatan Empire is the ones that you find in KOTOR.
Oh shit!
Yeah, the I was gonna say the creepy alien, but it's Star Wars and stuff. But the guys that you go to that planet right before the Star Forge, where all the different ships, it's like the ship graveyard or whatever. That is the Rakatan Empire, and so there was a time even back before the old Republic, where the Rakatan Empire spanned basically the whole galaxy.
Damn.
Yeah, and so as part of that conquest, this was one of the statues that was taken, and I think they say only 3 of them have been recovered, but now this Luthen helped them track this one down, and so this was the wedding gift to them.
That's cool as hell.
Yeah, there's no telling what the fuck it costs. It's basically what this kind of person would go after, this kind of sleazy person where money's no object. They're gonna buy you this incredibly extravagant gift that no one else could buy you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Luthen was the curator for that. And I think Luthen being here adds to the immense stress that Mon is already under.
Oh, yeah.
Because obviously, her and her husband are just a power couple anyway. I don't think there's any romance there.
I was going to ask you, what do you think, the dynamic is between her and her husband? Because it seems... You already said it, but it seems like a loveless relationship at this point.
Well, it was an arranged marriage. I mean, and this was a thing where, when they were kids, it was kind of going out of style, but their families are more prestigious or whatever, and so they keep to that tradition. And the hope was kind of that would be died out for their children, but it's made a resurgence.
Yeah.
I mean, she at least is Chandrilan royalty. I mean, you see the extravagance of the Mothma estate. Holy shit, this place was crazy. And all these, all of it is so steeped in tradition and everything. So you have Mon here who's getting, Luthen is here now. So she has to be on fucking edge because it's Luthen. And, he's the leader of the rebellion. And she's the financier. And she's a fucking senator.
Yeah.
And she's here around all these, rich people that are doing rich people things. They're incredibly judgmental and all this other stuff. And then her daughter, she has literally, for the most part, sold her daughter for the rebellion.
Yeah.
And this is a protagonist. This is someone who's supposed to be a heroic figure. But when it came down to it, the only way to get out of this situation was to arrange this marriage.
You can get another daughter.
And I mean, her daughter's all for it, at least for a while, I think she's starting to realize how not awesome this whole situation is going to be.
She might be, but it seemed like because there's a scene where Ramon tries to tell her, "Hey, look, we don't have to go out there.
Yeah.
We can tell all of them, hey, thanks for coming. You can take your shit back if you want to.
Yeah.
But her daughter's like, it's like the stiffest of stiff arms.
Yeah, and I mean, she really just like she sees the mistake her daughter's making, and she helped facilitate it because the rebellion is so important to her. But like, she is beginning to realize that like she will have to give up everything for this.
Yeah,
absolutely everything. And this is just the start of it. And so, going back to what you were talking about with Tay, her childhood friend who like helped arrange all this, he says, "Well, this has worked out for everyone except me. My wife left me. The rebellion that I'm helping you fund is hurting my investments, causing me to lose money." And he's just kind of like, I'm starting to feel undervalued here. And he's just like hinting at like, well, I need a payout, or
I need some head, girl.
Yeah, I need some head and some money. Yeah. And if I can't get that, then I'm gonna have some little conversations. Mm-hmm. And bruh, he gonna wish Luthen wasn't at this party because when Luthen sees this shit, I love the conversation between him and Mon here.
Yeah.
Where he's just like, she's like, I'll, she's gonna pay him. She's like, well, I'll figure out a number and we'll pay him. And Luthen's like, the number.
Yeah,
we'll be under his thumb forever. We'll always have to watch our backs for this guy. Luthen immediately knows what has to happen.
Exactly. He goes to the end of the equation and then reverse engineers it.
Yeah, and she's like, what are we talking about here, or whatever? And he's like, how nice for you.
Yeah.
Because he literally is pointing out like, Luthen doesn't want to kill this guy either. Mm-hmm. Like, but he's like, but that's where we are.
Yeah.
And he's still kind of like, you still don't get it.
Right.
He's like, no, I don't want to kill him either. But the fact that you're sitting here like, I don't know what we're talking about. How nice for you.
Yeah.
Because I knew immediately what we were going to have to do. And Cinta was here.
Bruh. Yeah. But, just going back to Tay really quick, it's like, man, his situation is a shitty one.
Yeah.
It really is. I'm not saying that I condone what he's trying to do here, trying to extort some ass and money. The money's more understandable.
Yeah.
But it's like, he is in a shitty situation,
Right.
But, I mean, I guess in the broader sense of it, though, he has to realize that if you are trying to be a part of a rebellion, you're going to make sacrifices, because everyone does.
I'm gonna go back to the Invincible quote. You can be a good guy, or you can be the guy that saves the world, but you can't be both.
Yeah.
And in this case, it's the galaxy.
Yeah.
And Luthen knows, and he's said as much, that the price of this is going to be his humanity. And for Mon, it's not going to be her humanity. She refuses to give that up, but it's probably going to be everything else.
Yeah.
There is going to be a moment, and I hope that we get to see this in the show. The Gorman massacre, we talked about how Aldhani was like kind of the start of everything. But when the Gorman massacre happens, that's actually when you get like a lot of different star systems that go, fuck this. And they openly side with the rebellion. And like, that's when it was actually became like the Rebel Alliance. And it was closer to what we see in Rogue One, and there's Mon Mothma goes into the Senate and makes a speech in the Senate against Palpatine. Yeah, the balls to do that in this era. And like, that's basically like Chandrila kind of like is like the face of like we're against the Empire, They don't know that they're building a thing that blows up planets. But this is why they're doing that.
Yeah.
It's so that they can, step on your neck a little bit harder, and you can't do anything. When Krennic talks about how this energy initiative will, bring stability to the Empire. What he really means is the Death Star.
Yeah.
It'll bring stability through fear.
Right.
And so I really hope, I can't see them skipping over that scene. We have to get that.
I think so.
For sure. But, and after that, I mean, that's when you see her with the rebellion, right? I mean, from that point, she's basically the de facto leader of the rebellion.
Yeah.
I cannot imagine her making that speech if she had anything left to go home to.
That's a good point. And, I was just thinking about that. Like, even at this moment where we are now, how much does she really have? Like, she's losing her friendships. She's beginning to realize that she might even lose the relationship she has with her daughter.
Yeah.
By one means or another, her relationship with her husband is fucking just, it's just visual, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just a public facade, really.
I mean, he thinks that her and Tay are fucking anyway.
Yeah, he already thinks that.
And I don't know that he really cares.
Yeah, that's because he's probably getting him some side on the strange.
Yeah, he's probably getting him some Chandrillan 10 out of 10, Some Chandrilla trim.
Yeah. Oh, shit. But you can already see kind of the beginnings of her not having anything else, so why not just... It's the point of no return is where she's approaching.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think she's starting to realize how far everything has slipped away from her. Mm-hmm. She just married her daughter off into basically a crime family.
Yeah.
There's going to be nothing for her at home when she's gone because, I mean, Vel is full tilt indoctrinated with Luthen for the most part. I kind of wish Vel had a little more to do here.
Yeah.
I'm hoping we get to see more of her because I really like her character. We do get to find out that she hasn't seen Cinta in a while.
Yeah.
But Cinta is entirely devoted to the cause. I mean,
oh yeah.
Stormtroopers murder her family, and she gonna kill every Imperial she can get her hands on. We saw her murder that motherfucker and leave him in a closet or whatever in season 1, like effortlessly.
Yeah.
Like gave him the ex machina stab, and then just was like, and I'm gonna close the door. Yeah. They still probably haven't found that guy.
I imagine not. Some poor person's gonna just open up that door one day and just it's gonna ruin their whole fucking day.
When you saw that she was his cab driver or whatever, oh man, you're like, oh well, we never seen this guy again.
Yeah, it's like, oh well, especially like if episode 4 is another year later, he's
done. You're never gonna see him again. Yeah, which I love that. That's how they're gonna leave it, right? It's like 100% what happened. It's not open for interpretation, but they don't necessarily have to show it either.
Yeah, no, they don't have to show that. I agree. Like, and it may be even better if that's just left to the theater of the mind.
Yeah. I want to talk about Luthen here is so good, man. Like, he's always just perfect.
Yeah.
I love the scene where he's chatting with the young Imperial guy. And he's like, yeah, I've been training at the academy on Steer Guard or whatever. He's like, oh, really? How's that going? He's like, well, they're shipping us all out and everything. He's like, oh, well, where's everyone going?
Yeah.
And that he's gathering intelligence, the whole time he's there. And, like, it's just so brilliant the way that his character, to me, is written and the way that Stellan Skarsgård plays him.
Absolutely. How do you think the moment's going to be when that eventually fails him?
When the curator get-up fails him?
Yeah.
Well, I think we see Luthen die for sure. Mm-hmm. He's not in Rogue One.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think for me, if I was gonna have it happen, I think I would have Luthen do something that's so integral to Rogue One. Like maybe he's the one that finds out where Jyn Erso is for them, and sends them to her. But I think that Krennic probably ends up killing him. Honestly, I think it has to be Daedra.
Really?
Because she's been the one hunting him.
That's true.
And I could honestly see for her character, like, it seems like the ISB has moved on, because he's like, it's been 2 years.
Yeah.
And you haven't found him. And I love Partagaz's line there. He's like, next time catch him and then make him famous.
Yes. Yeah.
Because she's really helped him, honestly. It was like, I forget who it was. I think it might have been Colin Powell, but this guy that ended up being like the leader of ISIS or whatever, he went on like TV in front of the United Nations and said the dude's name like 11 times or something. And basically it elevated him from this guy who was kind of like Cassian in season 1 to like this. He was the leader of ISIS.
Right.
They basically made him globally famous and elevated him to that position. And that's kind of what she's done. It's like, even the ISB can't catch Axis.
Yeah.
You know? So she's made him this famous figure. And now also within the ISB and the Empire in general, she's famous for not being able to catch him.
Yeah.
And like the tables have really turned on her from where she was like the up and coming, like best and brightest in season 1, you know? Yeah. And you could tell it's a new character journey for her because she's not used to losing.
Yeah. Yeah, because wasn't it made mention that, like, it's not a demotion and she shouldn't view it as one, but at the same time, she probably does view this as a bit of a demotion.
Yeah, because she's been chasing this dude. She can't find him. And he's like, look, this Gorman thing, this is right up your alley. Do it, sink your teeth into it, and win it. And then you can go on to do something else or whatever. He's like, this will be the best thing for your career. And I think ultimately, the Empire is going to kind of move on from this whole Axis thing. I think she is going to find out that it is Luthen, and I think she's going to kill him. I think that's how he's going to go down. I think for her, the most fulfilling character arc for her would be to actually be the one that kills him. But I think she also will know that he has set something much bigger in motion by then.
Yeah.
Because like the main through line I think we're going to see here is as each year passes, the rebels are going to become more and more of a unit, right? They're gonna not be all these little separate groups to where we have a rebel alliance at the end of this.
Yeah, I think that is like the most prominent through line for this series is to do that.
Right.
Seeing how they execute it though is going to be the most interesting part.
Yeah. Speaking of execution, man, the cinematography here, I fucking love so much the ending moments of episode 3. Originally, I wasn't thrilled with like the whole they're gonna dump 3 hours on us, but I think I would have really hated episode 2 if I had to wait a week to see 3.
That's fair. Yeah.
Because it does just kind of moves everything a bit. You know, it's like it moves all the pieces to where they need to be for the third episode.
Yeah.
And the third episode does kind of play like a season finale to an extent. They draw a night. They tie up all these little series into a nice bow, you know. But I like that we were able to get a complete story.
Yeah. You
know, each week, and we're probably going to get another pretty thrilling one tomorrow. So
and that's what I'm hoping for, right? Like the worst case scenario, right, for this format would be if it wasn't formatted for, 3 episode segment blocks.
Yeah.
Like if it was just originally a 12 episode season of television, and then Disney decided, well, we'll just split this up into 3. that would be awful.
Yeah, agreed.
Because like from a storytelling and from a pacing standpoint, there's no telling where shit is going to end up at, and you could just end up with like a weird kind of mismatched story.
Yeah.
Did we talk about the dance scene?
No, that's what I was going into now. It's like I love how when the war stuff is going on with Cassian and Bix and everything, that is juxtaposed with the disco disco droid, which was I'm gonna tell you, anywhere else I would have cringed at the disco droid, but I actually fucking kind of like the disco droid because of course they would have one.
I was gonna say that.
It makes absolute sense that they would have one, especially the rich people would have one.
Oh yeah.
I want to know what the fuck was in that shot because I think that she dropped some MDMA or something.
Had to be. Because if it's in liquid form like that, it's like concentrate. Just hits you immediately.
Because you never even see her relax.
Yeah.
And I think at this point, she's just like, I just married my daughter into a crime family. My husband hates me. Luthen's here. He probably is going to kill or already has killed my best friend. And there's still a chance that, you know, I'm going to be tried for treason and fucking hanged right outside my house here. So
that could all happen tomorrow. So why not enjoy tonight?
Yeah, I guess I'm going to just fucking kill it at this rave.
Yeah.
I didn't know Mom could dance like that. She had some moves on her.
Yeah.
But I love that, though, that she's, you know, it just goes to show what Luthen has been trying to tell her. It's like Bix and Cassian and Brasso, I mean, are literally fighting for their lives here. And Mon is at a fucking rave.
Yeah.
You know? And she thinks she has it bad.
Right.
Because she's a rich girl. I mean, she's been
like Hall & Oates.
She knows that the Empire is evil, but she's been a senator since the Clone Wars.
Right.
You know? She's never known anything other than her Chandrillan estate here that the Empire's never going to come to. Just a rich, important royal family. And then she's a senator. She lives in a fucking ivory tower on Coruscant, you know? The worst thing she has to deal with is probably some imperial regulations or having to hear these bullshit laws that they try to roll out. But she doesn't have to deal with the consequences of them.
She has an intellectual understanding of the problems with the Empire. She doesn't have a practical understanding, though. Exactly.
Yeah. And Luthen's been trying to tell her that, and like, I love that this end scene is the way it is, because it demonstrates that very artistically.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, poor Bix and Brasso in the game. They're getting shot at and or killed. Meanwhile, she's doing the electric slide.
Yeah. Woe is me, though. You know, like, I have all this stuff going wrong. Like, you're rich as fuck. You can buy another one of these houses tomorrow. Yeah,
bro. That's like if both my washer and dryer break and I don't have the money, you know, the fucking, I don't know, $1,400 to replace the units, and then like there's some kid in war torn country somewhere who doesn't have a fucking shirt to wash.
Yeah, you know? And like you go try to complain to them about your washing machine.
You don't understand the problems, man. Like my fucking work clothes stink. You know, it's awful.
Which, you know, I also, you know, I'm very sensitive to the fact of like, you know, like someone has it worse is like not really a good argument.
Yeah.
But I think that's not what Luthen is trying to get across to her. It's more of like, you don't understand how real this is to people. You're playing at this and billions of people are living it. And like, that is why we have to do this.
Right.
And he's like, you know, I get my hands dirty every damn day. And like, I didn't like Clea in season 1, but I actually think I'm really starting to like her in season 2.
You didn't like her in season 1?
Well, mainly because like she sent Vel to kill Cassian.
Okay.
But I mean, she was just trying to protect Luthen. Yeah. I mean, I think she is more on it than Luthen sometimes.
Absolutely.
You know, because like you could tell she's like his right hand guy, and like he trained her, and she took all of that stuff very literally that he taught her.
Yeah. And
she's like, you know, you're making these exceptions, like you're getting sloppy, whatever. And fortunately, he was very right about Cassian.
Yeah.
So, although she told him like, hey, do not go home.
Right. Yeah.
Because she's like, there's nothing that's going to put us more in jeopardy than like you flying this fucking, you know, mega ship into this place and blowing up a bunch of Imperials.
Yeah, he's like, why not? She's like, bro, you got 5 stars.
Yeah, like all the time. Like that's what you start at. Oh man, anything else you want to talk about these?
I think that overall these were really, really strong episodes, man. I think that, again, the way that they're just formatted is pretty brilliant if they can continue this kind of momentum.
It was so hard for me to not watch. So, like, I started watching these at, like, 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
And so, like, it's, like, 12:30 or some shit or later by the time the first 2 get over. Mm-hmm. And, dude, I had to get up early the next day. And, like, I had to force myself to go to bed And so, like, I couldn't watch episode 3 that night, but I wanted to, because, like, the way they end, too, is he just gets in the ship and takes off, and it's, like, roll credits. You're like,
right.
So, I really do think that these are best enjoyed as just one solid block of content.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I am of two minds. Just like, as a viewer of it, as just a fan of it, that is the best way to enjoy it. It's like, as a podcaster, I have to watch these things individually.
Yeah, that's true. So do we want to score them as a block, though?
Ooh.
Because I think
that's probably best.
I agree.
Yeah.
Who went first last time?
I don't remember.
I think I went first because you were like, I went first last time.
Oh, yeah, so I guess it's my turn to go first. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, then. I gotta say, I think that, this isn't a hot take, but these first 3 episodes here, I think, are way better paced than the first 3 episodes of season 1.
Well,
the most scalding of hot takes there.
I can feel the heat.
But no, they really hit the ground running with this, and they don't waste any time, and they do such a great job of getting you captivated and then holding you there. And there's so many different moving pieces, and when you have a story like this with all these moving pieces, you have to be very careful that nothing gets bogged down, that nothing feels like it's out of place, that the pacing isn't off. And I think that they just overall do a really incredible job. Are there certain things that could have been tightened up? Maybe certain things lengthened or shortened in certain areas? Yeah, of course. But I think if I look at these 3 episodes as a collective, I really have a great time with this. And it also honestly just helps, because there's so many moving pieces, watching them all together. Another benefit is having with retention of what the fuck is going on in all these different places throughout these different times. I think that the action that we got was so well shot and so tense as well. They really do a great job with the tension here, and it just really makes you feel that the characters are in actual danger. The look and feel of the show was phenomenal. The special effects that they have going on, I think, are tremendous, and hopefully all that continues at this quality as well. I am going to give these first 3 episodes as a whole I was teeter-tottering on it. I'm going to teeter the other way and give it a 9 even.
Oh, okay. I was over here thinking of 8.8 from you.
The teeter was like 8.9 or 9, and I was like,
Yeah, my brain was picking 8.8 vibes. I don't know that I've ever heard you give anything that score, but that's
you would have been close.
Yeah,
I was this close giving it 8.9.
It's rare that we have a wide disparity.
Yeah,
it's usually small. Yeah. There's been some exceptions to that, of course. And I can't wait to talk about Last of Us. Actually, I can't. I can wait. We'll get that in when we get it in.
Yeah.
No, that's actually probably going to be like next week, isn't it?
Oh wow, episode 4 is next week.
Yeah, it's about to be episode 4. Yeah. So, okay. So, obviously, I love this series. I'm very interested to see where they're going to go with it. The production value, Tony Gilroy, the showrunner, said that he doesn't think there's ever going to be another TV show, at least not anytime soon, like this. To the point that, because he basically said, like, you know, even Kathleen Kennedy, Jon Favreau, even Bob Iger, a lot of people at Disney and at Lucasfilm were really behind him and his vision for this, and Disney damn near wrote them a blank check. And considering that, like, this is not like when Disney Plus first kicked up and they were like, we're gonna make this and this and this and this and this, and you get a show and you get a show, you know. It was the Netflix you're greenlit from South Park, you know. It's just like, oh, you want to make a fucking 52 episode C-3PO series? Go for it.
Right, let's do it.
Let's do it. Yeah, sign me up. But it's like they have like a family learning channel, and it's just like Hawkeye's 3 kids being homeschooled or whatever.
Oh my gosh, he's not even in it.
He's not in it at all. Yeah. They'll do the thing where he's in like the first episode, and then he goes on a mission.
There we go.
And then he comes back at the end, like, "Oh, what happened while I was gone, kids?"
He gets the Daredevil treatment from Echo.
Yeah.
He's in all the promo material.
And then he's in the show for about 25 seconds total. Yeah. But this is in the era where the streaming crash has kind of happened, and the fact that they were like, "Yeah, do 5 seasons," and he was like, "No, we're just gonna do 1, and we'll do it like this and show all of this," and he basically said, the amount of faith that Disney put in him, because this production looks and feels incredible, but that's because almost everything is practical. They built a ton of these sets. They literally put a major film production into these. I'd be interested to see what the budget per episode actually is.
Yeah.
But it is worth it. I'm very glad that they allowed him to do it. I love how every single character in this feels unique and like a real person that you could run into. I don't think any of them make decisions that feel contrived or in service of the plot. I really like how all of this is displayed and tied together, and even though you have these completely separate storylines, they all have a conjoined theme, and you see different aspects of how oppressive the Empire is. We never really got that in the actual Star Wars movies. We just knew the Empire were the bad guys. Darth Vader is there. He looks evil.
Yep.
So, a lot of people forget that you don't actually see the Emperor until Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
He has the little Zoom call where he's like the hologram or whatever. But that shit looked terrible, especially in the original cut. And so you don't actually see them until Return of the Jedi. And it's very fortunate. I can't think of that guy's name off the top of my head right now. Ian... what's his damn name? I can't think of anybody's name tonight, folks. Ian McDiarmid. Any other day, I'd be able to tell you that right off the top of my head. It's fortunate that Ian McDiarmid was, I don't know if I've told you this before, but he was actually a Broadway actor. And he was famous for playing older characters. So he's like a very young guy.
Yeah.
Which is why he can still play Palpatine now. He was a very young guy when they filmed the original Star Wars movies.
I figured he had to be, because I was like, man, he was still playing Palpatine.
Yeah. And it's like George Lucas actually knew, when Empire Strikes Back came out, it actually had the Episode 5 title on it from jump. So that told people, okay, well, we came in here in the middle of this story, and he always was going to make the prequels, and he wanted to have that continuity with Palpatine throughout. This show gives us such impact into what the Empire really meant and what bringing it down really meant. We'd like to think that they would have brought it down if, even if Luke Skywalker doesn't come along. But without the things that Luthen Rael is doing in these episodes, there's no Rebel Alliance for Luke Skywalker to join, It took all these planets putting aside their differences, all these factions putting aside their differences, and coming together against this, fascist regime of the Empire to make something happen here. And Luthen is directly responsible for all of that ultimately. And for getting all these, different kind of tribes basically to work together. So I love how this is, I echo everything you really said about it is, I love how this is produced and shot, and I'm very eager to see how this time jump format is really going to work. I do think it is going to leave us wanting more because, like, there's so many things in these first 3 that I'm like, oh, I want to know more about that. Like the TIE Avenger and all this different stuff. And I don't think we're ever going to get the answers to those questions. I think they're going to leave a lot of that open-ended because we're getting just glimpses of the most important moments in this rebellion build-up. I think it probably won't be till the end of the season until I can really say whether that was truly effective or not. But I'm going to give this a 9.2 out of 10, these first block of episodes.
Excellent. Yeah, well, there you have it, folks. Andor Season 2 is off to one hell of a start, we would say.
Yeah, I'm super hyped for tomorrow. I'm probably not going to watch them tomorrow because I'm going to be at the theater watching Revenge of the Sith, which just made $40 million.
Yeah.
A 20-year-old film came in number 2 at the box office.
Crazy.
Yeah. So, I'm very, very eager to see, though, what this next block of episodes is going to hold. And, of course, like as we said at the beginning, we got Thunderbolts later on this week. We're going to be talking next week about some Last of Us Season 2. And we probably, I would guess, if we can make it happen, we might have another Fantastic Four on the horizon. Or we could do that Perfect Tens episode we've been talking about doing for a while.
Yeah, we have been talking about that for a while. It might be time.
Yeah. We got time. We only got to watch 2 more Fantastic Fours before July.
Yeah, so we got time for the Fantastic Fours.
And we need it. We got to give ourselves a little bit of time.
Need some buffering between these Fantastic Four movies.
Because I'm gonna tell you, folks, the one that we thought was the good one, I don't know that there is a good one actually.
Yeah, the one we thought was the good one was probably okay for its time and for our 14-year-old brains.
It was the safest one.
Yeah.
That doesn't make it the good one.
That's true.
Honestly, I'm just going to go out and say it here. The good one might be 94. If you know the story of the movie, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you're like, they only had $1 million to make this, it might be the good one.
Yeah, if you go in that knowing that, okay, the movie is trash, but Dr. Doom is acting his ass off.
Yeah. Yeah. It definitely has the best Doom.
Oh, yeah.
That's not even up for debate. Yeah. So.
Yeah, Robert Downey, he's got his work cut out for him,
Really, truly does, man.
There's a possibility that Rise of the Silver Surfer, the next Fantastic Four movie we're covering, that one might rival 94 in terms of what the fuck laugh moments.
See, I've actually never seen this, so this is going to be such a treat for me.
Yeah. So,
and then we get to subject like I'm actually excited to watch Fan Four Stick for the first time because, like, yes, we're going to have to endure it again.
Yeah.
But like we're going to get to see them have to experience it for the very first time.
Yeah, see. Here's the thing, right? Like, you weren't here when Oz watched Howard the Duck, and like to see him transform as a human being. It's gonna be similar to that, or like when we watched
the holiday
special, or 1990 Captain America, or it's along those lines of just brain dead, awful movie.
Here's the thing, too, is like it's going to cut their knees out from under them because, like, for the first like 10 minutes, 15 minutes of that movie, whatever, they're going to be like, they were trolling us this whole time, man. This movie isn't even that bad. What the fuck's going on here? What is wrong with you guys? This is actually okay. And then we're just going to be like, yeah, we got you. We played the long game.
Yep.
And then the break is going to happen. And they're going to be like, did like they not have cocaine on set, and then like they took a break, and then they started to have cocaine on set?
Or was it possibly the other way around? It's hard to say.
They didn't have any.
Yeah.
Well, folks, we really hope that you guys enjoyed these first 3 episodes of Andor as much as we did. If you didn't, let us know.
Yeah. You guys are just as opinionated as we are.
That's right.
So, we love hearing from you. And as Caleb said, hopefully you guys enjoyed the Andor Season 2 episodes. If not, then hopefully you enjoyed this review and breakdown of them.
That's right. And, you always also have the option to hop over to the merch store and let us really know how appreciated we are. And you can buy yourself some Superhero Homies merch. You can check out that link in the description.
That's right. Both kind of hoodies is on the merch store.
Both of them.
That's right. Pull over and zip up.
And nobody even has either of those yet, to my knowledge. So, you could be the first person to rock one.
Wow. That's pretty exclusive. Or you can get your t-shirts or your tote bags or even your Superhero Homie candles. If you want to know what those candles are supposed to smell like, you got to buy one.
That's right.
But that's going to be all for now, homies. We will see you guys again very soon. But until next time, my name is Superhero Homie Q.
And I'm Superhero Homie Caleb.